It's been a while, hasn't it? I've been busy for a time, but now I'm back, and I'm back with a new tutorial. I call this one, How to Do Orange Blonde Hair. For a time I've been struggling on how to achieve this sort of color, but today I hope to share what I've learnt, if you'll be so kind to listen. Before we get started, I'd like to show you what the result looks like. Here you see a few pictures of Marcel, one of the anime characters from Delicious in Dungeon. I want you to pay attention to her hair. It's blonde, but also pay attention to the kind of blonde it is. It's a yellowy orange kind of blonde. Can you appreciate that in between the strands of hair, in the recesses, there are pockets of orange, as though it's been washed by some kind of orange wash? That is in fact the truth of the matter, and I think what is special about this sort of painting method. Also, you must forgive me for the rushed nature of my work. You can see that this is actually a 3D print, and there are support scars that still show on the model. I do forgive this lack of attention, but the primary purpose of this project was just to experiment on some painting methods. And finally, an overview of the parts and paints that are required for this project. Alright, I'm going to stop talking like that. So let's discuss it a bit more properly. So step 1, primer/surfacer. I just use the SMS brand. I've got the pictures next to the lists. Yellow lacquer to establish the main color. The wash that I mentioned earlier to really get into the recesses. After the enamel wash, remember to use a lacquer sealant, which will help keep the enamel safe from any future coats of lacquer that you put onto the model. Afterwards, the Lascivis blonde lacquer, I use it to put the lighter shade of blonde onto the hair. And then clear orange lacquer, which is useful to shade parts of the hair. And then finally clear white lacquer, which I use on the top of the head, well, the top of the hair in this instance, and it will really help just sell the illusion, I guess, that there's some kind of light source from over the head. So here, I'm just going to do a bit of a commentary. I'm spraying the white, SMS white surfacer. Could be from any brand really, but this one comes pre-thinned, so you don't have to thin it yourself. I'm applying white everywhere. This is not a complicated process. Nevertheless, I have to provide some kind of commentary before we get to the more interesting parts. And my process isn't set up well enough to have me just go silent here. I feel like I have to fill in the space. Here, I'm using one of the Tamiya paints that do not come pre-thinned, and hence I have to use some thinner beforehand. Yes, so this is the yellow lacquer to establish the main color of the hair. And it goes on really it covers really well, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I do really thin coats, but it still fills in so well. I've skipped forward here to the part where I start mixing the clear orange enamel wash. I just spread it all over the hair, and you can see it's running down the hair, but also in particular it's running in between the strands of the hair and the parts of the hair which is all braided up, which is exactly where I want it to go. I can't think of a way where you can get that kind of darker orange tone in the recesses aside from washing. And this is an enamel wash, which I think is superior to the acrylic wash, because with enamel or enamel, afterwards, even if you mess up, you can just reapply some thinner and redistribute it. Here I'm putting in that sealant to protect the enamel wash from any future coats of lacquer, that which is coming on soon. I'm applying a clear orange now, but I think the footage is missing the part where I actually apply the Lascivus blonde just to tone it up a bit more with a lighter shade of blonde. Here I've just fast forwarded it to, well, I've skipped the footage of me doing that Lascivus blonde stage where I'm already doing the clear orange lacquer stage where I'm just shading the hair with some clear orange. Finally, I'm not sure you saw that. That was the white, the clear white, that I'm spraying at the top of the head or the hair to simulate a source of light like the sun shining overhead. And then finally we are going to apply like a sort of clear coat, but this one is going to be matte or flat clear coat. And this really takes the gloss out of the hair. This is just an aesthetic choice because the model I'm doing is kind of flat in tone, as you can see from this photo. But you know, I can see in the future I might do a model where everything's very glossy. But for this one, I've just gone with the matte look. Overall, I was really happy with how this turned out. There are areas like support marks and other sort of areas that aren't as clean, but in the past I've fallen into the trap of perfection and always trying to fix mistakes, but now, and I'm just happy to learn what I can from this model and then, you know, take the lessons and try to apply it to the next model instead of dwelling on one model for too long. Alright, thank you for watching.